Good afternoon. This is Scott Churchson from the Sports Den, and welcome to Spangler Sports World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250 and 249. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on the app stores of iOS and Android. When you download, do make sure to rate, leave a comment. Both apps are free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. And hope you guys are doing an awesome job out there. Hope you guys are having yourself a great day. This is the Sports Den. Alongside me, as always, is Mr. Obie Spencer. And alongside us is Jedi Knight wannabe / possibly none. We're not sure yet. Mr. Rob Stats, as Obie has referred to, is a particularly ugly nun. I think he looks fine, but that's, to each their own. So.
It's extremely cold in my house for some unknown reason. That's why I had the hoodie on.
Listen, it happened. Last August, the air conditioning broke in the house here, and it popped over 90. So sometimes just stuff ends up happening. Oh, that was nasty. I hated that. Anyway, we have got a myriad of different things to cover today. We're going to be talking about the future of Albert Pujols, the future of Kenny Mayne, the future of Todd Frazier. Why not? Who knows what's even happening there as well. We also, as always, have our shout out and shut up. We have our obscure sport of the week, and also probably whatever you guys have as well. So let me start this off. Holy Mother Rob, how you doing out there?
But having a blessed day, my son. How are you doing?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Blessings and salutations to you. And Obie, mazel tov to you as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And be blessed, all of you. Yes.
Yes. So, all right. I got no follow-up to that, so we're just going to roll with this. Okay. So, like I said, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. As usually is the case, Rob and I are on two different ends of the spectrum on a typical topic, which does seem to happen a lot here. In this particular case, with regards to Mr. Albert Pujols' future, Albert Pujols has been a class act in baseball. He is a surefire Hall of Famer. He had one of the best quotes I have ever heard, and it wasn't even related to be on the field. He and his wife of 20 years have 5 kids. One of them has Down syndrome, and his quote for this is, "We did not choose Down syndrome. Down syndrome chose us." And I love that quote. I thought that just personifies him so well. And now he's unemployed. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. Rob feels that maybe he's going to latch on to one of the Southern California teams, be it LA, be it San Diego. Who knows? San Francisco's a possibility. They're first right now. I feel that he's going to end up with an ALE team. I would Sox are plausible. But Rob, we'll start off with you, man. What are you thinking?
Well, right now he's nowhere. So I think it's up to him. I think there's a good possibility he might be done. Like you said, he's got 5 kids. One of them has Down syndrome. He might just be like, you know what? I had a great run. Time to do the family thing. So, I mean, if he comes back to play, I would like to see him play for a contender, which is I took the California teams because they're closer to him. Like I said, it's right up and down, up or down the 405 for him, either LA or San Diego. But like I said, I could see him going to an AL team where he's going to DH as well, but he could still play the field too. So he's Albert Pujols. Like, he doesn't have a limited number of options. Like, he could go anywhere he wants. I know Obie brought up him going to Denver and just letting him swing for the fences to catch A-Rod. So basically whatever he wants to do, he's going to be able to do because he can do whatever he wants. He's Albert Pujols. He's going to help whatever team he goes to, whether it's helping in, help make a run for the pennant, for a championship, or to put butts in seats, as they say, and bring in some fans and swing for the fences. So I think it's a matter of time. It's only time will tell what he's going to do, where he's going to go.
So, yeah, I definitely like him going to Colorado because I don't know how much he brings to a team. I don't think the fact that he was hitting under the Mendoza line was like an outlier. He's aging. I mean, think of it this way: when he went to Anaheim, he was the best player in baseball. I think it's that same season, if not the next year. A young man named Mike Trout joined the team and instantly became the best player in baseball. And now we're talking about his Tatis catching Trout, So Trout's already getting to the point where is he still going to be the best player in baseball? So I don't know how much Pujols has left in his tank. That's why I like him in Colorado, because what he's got left to do is catch one or two more guys. I think, the only guy ahead of him who was a juicer who he can catch is A-Rod, and he's not going to catch Bonds. So can he get to that number? And the only place I think that he can get that at that has a interest in having somebody there for that reason right now is Colorado. Because having his bat in the lineup will put people in their seats. I don't see that happening in New York. They already have guys who are hitting home runs and striking out, and they don't need a guy who's struggling at all in New York, either league, either side, American or National. I don't think the White Sox need him in there, although La Russa and him have a relationship. La Russa's comments seem to be like, he's a great player, but I don't need him here. That's what I got from La Russa's comments. St. Louis is fighting it out too much to bring him back. This isn't football where you sign him for a one-day contract and then retire from your team. I think the only thing that we can kind of take away from this is a lot of the report says that it was not an amicable breakup. And so now he'll go in with a Cardinals hat as opposed to no hat. That's my take. I wish him luck. I would like to see him come back. I'd like to see him chase down 700. But I'm not holding my breath that someone's going to pay him, a veteran's minimum to be on their team at this point when there's probably a young guy who they want to see how he's doing and can conceivably be better.
I don't know. I mean, I see where you're going with Colorado in this, but I think you're at that age, you probably want to chase one more ring versus padding the numbers, I think. My own take on this. So Colorado being in last place, probably not going to be changing that in a very difficult, very stacked NL West. Like I said, I do think him going to a contender, some team that's got a shot. Minnesota is a plausible possibility as well. DH perennial has a perennial division winner, or at least very high up there. I mentioned the Red Sox. I think it's possible. With the way Fenway Park is and the big monster, they are a first place team, and they are a slightly smaller market also than LA is. I mean, the Angels are the lower end team versus the Dodgers, but it is still Los Angeles. Boston, by virtue, is probably like B level baseball versus like say a positive A, maybe an A minus level baseball. So a slightly smaller market that way might do him a little bit of good there. The Yankees, I will just say that because you know what? Why not? It's the Yankees. You never count them out. This is a team that picked up Jose Canseco when nobody saw it coming. So never, ever, ever count out that team. But if I had to say, I would say probably the White Sox right now, Minnesota, or the Red Sox. Okay.
Yeah, I think you make an interesting point that I did not consider till you made it about market size. Right? Mm-hmm. People think of St. Louis. They don't necessarily realize that is an enormous baseball market. Mm-hmm. Because for so long there was nobody west of St. Louis, and there's still folks who remember that, folks in Colorado who are still St. Louis fans, folks in Nevada who are still St. Louis fans, and then he went to Anaheim. Again, that's like the Mets. Was that still a big market team? Yes, it is.
But second,
Boston might be bigger than Anaheim in terms of just its baseball appeal, especially now that Tom Brady has left. But I don't know. So that market size may weigh in on his decision in a way I didn't count on until you said something about that.
Well, the other thing, sorry, go ahead.
I don't know him enough to know at this point, does he go, what if he wants to play, why does he want to play, right? Like, does he want to play to get another ring? It's not like he's a guy who doesn't have rings. It wasn't the best player on a team that won a championship. So does he want to pad personal stats? Does he want another ring? Or as Rob, mentioned earlier, maybe it's just time that he's like, hey, all right, this is over. I spent 10 years here. I got kids here. It's just hang up the cleats and is there a studio calling his name?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure
the
you get
other
a
option.
problem there. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he could end up going right into TV. And yeah, it's interesting. There's like no confirmed, like Obie said, there's rumors that it wasn't amicable, but there's really no official word on how the split was. And I looked at it as like, all right, they let him go, but they let him go and they gave him the freedom to do whatever he wants. Like they didn't trade him somewhere and he's stuck. It's like, And people brought it up like they have a kid coming up in the minors who's going to play first base. That's one of the other reasons they let him go. Like they're moving on. Like they're playing for the future. They're bringing guys up now. I think they realize already a quarter of the way through the season they're dead in the water. So let's see what we got. Let's rebuild. And even Trout hasn't really been the same the last couple of years. He's got that thyroid issue, and the whole thing. He's got the waiver to be on steroids of some sort because of his thyroid issue. He hasn't really been the best player in baseball for a while either. So I mean, he may not be far away from the same fate that Pujols just got, but I didn't take it as him being he shouldn't be offended in any way unless they just said like, hey, we're letting you go and didn't really talk him through it. But he's got the freedom to do whatever he wants now. He made his money. Like he's good. Like don't feel sorry for Albert Pujols having options and having a bunch of money in the bank.
Yeah, but trading him would have been more difficult because he is a 10-5 man. So he had the right to veto any trade if he chose to. But I think in this case, like he has time. He's probably talking it over with his family. My guess is, like I said, he'll latch onto an AL team, finish out his career, the season, and then that's going to do it. Like I said, one more run, 5 months, whatever we're at, 6 months, whatever amount of time it ends up being. And then that's going to call it as a career in this case. That's going to tie into what trivia is going to be for next week's show. Hall of Fame players that you forgot played for other teams. We'll get to that one later. But that's something, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen there. As always, you can find the show on Twitter at SSW Sports Den and also at Spangler Sports Den on Facebook. This is the Sports Den. Speaking of people who have spent a long period of time and now have question marks.
I got one thing to add for Pujols. Here's my prediction. I'm going to channel it. His last game that he's ever going to play in is going to be the All-Star game. Like, that's going to be the kicker, is that he's going to be the guy, like, even if he says, oh, I'm out, he's going to somehow end up with, like, the most votes for the All-Star game or whatever, if they have it, and he's going to play in the All-Star game. And it's going to be funny to see, like, what league is he going to play for if he gets in now? Because, like, he's one of those guys, like, All-Star voting, like, Pro Bowl bowling, people just get in on their name. Like half the time fans don't even look at stats. Like somebody could be having the worst season of their career and they're going to get in. And this is one of those things. It's kind of like someone's final performance or like in TV and film when someone passes away and then they win the award post-mortem. It's like, because everybody voted for him. Like, okay, it's over. Like this is going to be the fans' tribute to him is like vote him into the All-Star game. So if he doesn't come back, I could totally see the All-Star game being the last game he ever plays in.
And that's one of the things that goes back to that. Was it not mutual and was it not amicable? Is that they didn't give him the chance to take that final victory lap like Rivera got, like Jeter got. This guy would have gotten all the plaques, all the awards, all the niceties of having that sort of farewell tour. And to defend Mike Trout, he is leading Major League Baseball in offensive WAR this year again.
Yeah. Him and Byron Buxton, I think, are 1-2.
Yes. Buxton's leading the league because he doesn't have negative defense where Mike Trout's defense has come down.
But Trout is being wasted out there. I mean, you talked about being a rebuild. It's a perennial rebuild out there. And it's kind of a shame because there's so much potential talent on that roster. And every single year, they're just in there out there. I think one time in the last 10 years, they actually made it to playoffs or won a playoff game, I think it was. They made the playoffs once in like the last 7 or 8 years. So this is a team that's honestly perennially on the rebuild. So it may not be the worst thing for Pujols to be let go, but it is a sign of things to come where you have these players with massive contracts and gone. Trout will happen. Tatis will happen. This is just bets will happen. This is the future. Ellsbury was just the start, or A-Rod. So, but speaking of unemployed, Kenny Mayne is now out of a job. Now he's going to probably have less of a challenge getting a job than I think Albert Pujols will, because after 27 years with ESPN, he is a salary cap cut by his own definition. Chris Berman got paid. He's a salary cap removed. He's removed from via salary cap is the way he explained it. His future. Any thoughts what that's going to be?
It's like, is he going to go to Fox? Is he going to go to a major network? I don't know. Is he going to go join Levitard? That new little startup that he's doing, which I can't think of the name of it. I just saw the article this week. I wasn't aware of it, but it's him. It's the former head of ESPN. So I mean, there's plenty of opportunities for him. I don't think he's out of the business like Mike Golick was when his time came. But I do think that I think he's gonna take a breather and figure it out. Maybe we'll call him up and see if we can get him in on our network.
Yeah, sure. Well, he might do something with Dan Patrick too. I'm sure podcasting will not be a problem. He'll get a job that way too if he wanted to. I don't know, maybe something with Pat McAfee.
Well, he's on WWE now, McAfee.
I know.
He's an announcer.
Well, McAfee is one of the biggest podcasters out there right now. Anyway,
yeah.
His YouTube channel is huge. Wish I had his numbers. But,
Kenny Mayne has one of the coolest middle names of all time. Kenneth Wheelock.
Okay.
Mayne. That's a pretty cool, unique middle
really
name.
Cool. Huh.
I just looked him up. I was like, that's a dope middle name. I was like, I'm almost thinking why didn't you run with Kenny Wheelock or even Wheelock Mayne as your stage name? That would be pretty cool.
Kenny Mayne seemed to work out pretty well though. Yeah. He got a couple dollars out of it. I think he'll survive. But yeah, I'm curious to see what ends up happening there. And I have a suspicion that was not exactly an amicable split either. But
I mean, it was amicable enough when you get fired. He didn't he called him out or anything. He said, "I'm a salary cat." He basically said, "I want more than they're willing to give me." I wasn't willing to take less. So good for him.
But yeah, he won't have a problem. Okay, so we are now 17 minutes into the show. It is time now for the shout out and shut up because I've got a couple of comments here. I've got a few things I want to play with as well. But Rob, I'm going to start it off with you. What do you got, sir?
My shout out goes to DK Metcalf, who in a time when everything else that's going on in the world of sports, where you got two social media clowns or one social media clown calling out MMA fighters to box and not really being a crossover athlete, DK Metcalf lined up against the world's best sprinters and ran a 10.36. And if you saw the video, it looked like a semi-truck lined up next to a bunch of sports cars. The dude is legit. He's got to be at least 30 pounds heavier than the next closest guy in weight. He's just towering over these people. And some people were throwing shade at him he came in last place. He finished in ninth. But Mark Ingram said it the best. He goes, dude, put respect on the man's name. He went out there and lined up with professionals, people who do this every day of their life. And if he was 20 or 30 pounds lighter, he's probably right there with them because it was just him getting he just didn't get out of the blocks fast enough, but he's carrying an extra 30 pounds of muscle. I was rooting for him. I wanted to see him do well. And once they got into the open, they opened it up and the full stretch, he was right there with them. It's not they pulled away from him as the race went on. He hung with them. He just didn't get off to a good start. But kudos to him for actually going out there and doing it because they basically dared him to do it after the highlight video of him walking. I think it was Adrian Patrick Peterson or somebody. Who is it? Buda Baker. Yeah, he walked when he tracked down Buda Baker in that crazy game against Arizona. They were like, yeah, why don't you run, track and field? He's like, okay. And he stepped up. So shout out to him for stepping up and taking the challenge. My shut up, probably still going on to the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. Aaron Rodgers somehow, I haven't seen a heel turn like this since Bash at the Beach in WCW 1997 when Hulk Hogan became Hollywood Hogan. So that's still going on. Even, who is it? Devontae Adams now, a week later, is well, if my guy's not there, I'm going to have to think things over. Oh, now you're walking it back? A week ago, you were saying, you got to appreciate what you got while it's here. And I'm like, okay, I'm just over this whole thing. Let me know when somebody makes up their mind. So that's my shut up to everybody with the whole Aaron Rodgers thing.
Nice. Obie?
Shout out. I'm going with Tampa Bay Lightning and Coach John Cooper. Daniel Walcott, I hope I say these guys' names right, started his first NHL game yesterday, I believe it was, alongside Gemmel Smith and Matthew Joseph. All three are black. It was a full black starting front line. It's a great opportunity for representation in a league that only has 2% African Americans. Hopefully it will drive more folks there. It's a tough game to get into, but it was a nice thing for him. Every everybody related to it in the Florida team. They were all excited to have it. The guys played 10 minutes together. Really looked good. And they're all NHL guys who are going to be playing next year. So shout out to Tampa Bay.
Nice.
Shut up, Bob Baffert. Shut up. So this is his quote, first of all, after his horse was found to be doping. Churchill Downs came out with that statement that was pretty harsh with all that noise. We live in a different world now. This America is different. It was like cancel culture kind of thing. So they're reviewing it. The man's horse got caught on steroids. That's not cancel culture. That's a failed drug test. That's nothing. That is you got caught. And then of course he did what every good athlete who gets caught cheating does, and denied and denied and denied. But about an hour before we went on stage, came on, he basically gave the Barry Bonds. Oh, the rub we were putting on, we didn't realize it included extra steroids. So he could still get found. The B test could still pass because Bob Baffert is actually the one who gets to pick the place that runs the sample on the B sample. Like, how great is that? Yes. Did I use steroids? Maybe. Why don't I ask my buddy to test this out? But in any case, he did at least come up with a viable excuse for his accident. But this guy just needs to shut up. That ain't cancel culture. That's getting caught cheating.
Well, wasn't one of the first excuses like somebody peed on the hay that the horse ate and it had like it was tainted hay or something? Like I heard that one yesterday. I was like, what? I'm like, I think even a horse would be like, no, I'm not eating this. Like this.
That's like the tainted meat in Mexico story. I don't remember which guy said that. But, oh, it's the meat I ate in Mexico. That's why I tested positive. No, put the needle in yourself. Get out of here.
Drug testing in horses. It's surprising, but it's not surprising, you know. Speaking of horses, I am going back to the dead one that I'm already beating. This has been my routine. This has been my role for a while with this. We're going back to Houston Astros again. Houston Astros, as you already know, they had a bevy of comments that came their way once they actually landed at Yankee Stadium, most of which I cannot play on air, but were absolutely amazing to listen to. The pictures, there were pictures all over the internet of the efforts that went in to be able to actually, discourage Yankee fans and agitated Yankee fans. But in the process of this, the Houston Astros complained. They complained to MLB about the fact that they're being bullied on the field and in the stands because of what they did in 2017. As a result, MLB has protected them and is in fact looking out for them, forcing the fans, in some cases one of the Yankee fans, to actually take off some of the articles of clothing that they had. One general, and one kid in specific, spent $85 on a costume. Security made him take it off because, as he was told, their policy changed. Astros complained to MLB about fans in other cities, and MLB told the Yankees to tighten their rules based on what was going on. So that's one picture right there. There's a few others as well. A lot of effort, a lot of time went into it. We got Altuve as Oscar the Grouch going on in the trash can. We also had another one in there too. Just more verbal in this case here. I don't know if you can actually read it, but he had the friend had a sign, but the Astros stole it. So this of course is my shut up, because honestly, it hit me in 2017. It was rough. CC Sabathia, Tanaka, they missed out on the World Series. Can't say they would have won, but they missed out on the World Series because of it. So I promise you on this is the last time I'm bringing it up unless something magnanimous ends up happening. I'm done beating that dead horse, and I'm going to move on.
Yeah, I agree with you on this. Before you move on, the costume, I believe, was an Oscar the Grouch costume.
Yes,
from what I heard on the talk radio. But also, like, Altuve was crying. Like, they're picking, like, if there's one person on that team who still was, like, the target, it's him. Like, I could see somebody who wasn't on the team in 2017 getting heckled by fans. Like, what are you yelling at me for? Like, I wasn't there. But, like, Altuve, Carrera, or, like, all those guys who were there. Yeah, like Bregman, you're still the target. Like, everything that's directed at you, you deserve. Like, sorry, that's just the way it is. Deal with it.
Yeah, and it was, like I said, it was in this case here. I was waiting for that. I was really excited, and like I said, there was no way possible that you could actually you could actually go to that stadium and not hear it. You know, the amount of abuse that they took, while justified, was really impressive. The only dark cloud as a Yankee fan, the only one, is that Altuve hit a game-winning 3-run home run to salvage the series on his birthday. There was comments on his birthday that was basically F your birthday when he went up to bat. It got that vile that they actually dropped F-bombs on the man's birthday, but still were willing to celebrate his birthday just the same. So props where it belongs. But yeah, as far as the Yankee fan goes, you know, it's well-deserved. But this kind of stuff, complaining to MLB, is only going to make it worse in the long run, because now you've complained to the teacher about the fact that you're being bullied. And having done that as a kid, don't ever do that. It's the worst thing you could ever do as a kid. And as the Astros, it's the worst thing you could ever do when you complain to a teacher or the principal that basically you're being bullied, because now every bully knows it. So my shout out as a diehard, long time, and mostly suffering Devils fan is going to the New York Rangers. Oh yeah.
I was going to do this, but I had a feeling this was going to be yours, and I didn't want to steal your thunder on it.
Thank you, man. You rock. I appreciate that. But as you already know, Tom Wilson of the Washington Capitals was not suspended for the injuries that he put on Panarin the other day, dragging him down to the ground, literally punching him in the back of the head, and taking him out for a certain period of time that's not actually finalized yet. This play, you know, Tom Wilson, who has already been suspended for 7 games this season for boarding, and has actually been suspended 5 times in his 8-year career, did not get suspended for it. He did not get suspended. He got a $5,000 fine, and that is all he got for it. The New York Rangers, in response, had a great comment there, which, see if I can pull this puppy up here. I don't know if I have it. But suffice it to say, yeah, the comment that they ended up posting was absolutely brilliant when it came to the response, and they straight up called out the NHL home office. And they straight up commented, they defended their player. They talked about the fact that it was an absolute garbage decision, you know, and the fact that the players themselves were protected by the Rangers the way they were, you know, and looked out for it. And the Rangers got fined $250,000 for it. I wish I had the quote here in front of me. My fault for not bringing it up. But it was absolutely a class act move by the Rangers here. And like I said, as a longtime Devils fan, it's not easy for me to say that. But I thought it was one of the nicest, proper things to do, to call out the NHL for a mistake that was made. And like I said, get penalized in the process. So Rangers, I give you guys a shout out. Houston, I give you guys a shout out. And there we go. So
yeah, I wanted to shout them out for this. The 5-on-5, like, because as a Bulls fan, we'd seen it before when Tortorella was their coach. Like, the puck dropped and 10 sets dropped, and they were fighting, and they were just brawling. They didn't care. I was like, oh, it's kind of like a Ranger tradition now. It's like, okay, like somebody got cheap shotted. Next game, as soon as the puck drops, we're putting our 5 best fighters out there, and we're going to war. And it was something crazy, like 100 penalty minutes in the first 10 minutes of the game. Like, the one announcer goes, I don't know if we're going to have enough people to actually play hockey. Like, they were running, the penalty box was filling up so quickly.
I remember Angela Mickey, the casting director, who's a diehard Ranger fan, she had posted something about this, and she just showed the entire list of like the first couple of seconds of just all the penalties that were just dropped immediately. And it was just absolutely incredible to see. But like I said, Gary Bettman came back with it. You know, public comments of the nature issued by the Rangers that were personal in nature and demeaning the league executives will not be tolerated. While we don't expect our clubs to agree with every decision rendered by the Department of Player Safety, the extent to which the Rangers expressed their disagreement was unacceptable. It's terribly unfair to question George Parros's professionalism and his dedication to his role in Department of Player Safety. But again, it came down because of the fact that the Rangers felt like they deserve better. Obie pulled up the comment. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Oh, did you get it? Yeah, I just pulled it up on mine too. I was going to read it.
So, yeah, I was trying to pull it up last minute. I realized I made a mistake. But, yeah, the Rangers are extremely disappointed that Capitals forward Tom Wilson was not suspended for his horrifying act of violence last night at Madison Square Garden. Wilson is a repeat offender with long history of these types of acts, and we find it shocking that the NHL and their Department of Player Safety failed to take the appropriate action and suspend him indefinitely. Wilson's dangerous and reckless actions caused the injury to Artemi Panarin that will prevent him from playing again this season. We view this as a dereliction of duty by NHL head of player safety George Parros and believe he is unfit to continue in his current role. That is shots fired. I heard the phrase scorched earth. And you know what? Kudos. Like I said, you look out for you guys. In this case, you protect them. It is, I think, something that's going to be more common now. I think it's going to start to happen in cases where the league makes decisions that are questionable. This one was just bad. But in thinking ones that are questionable, I think it's going to create a trend where ownership and teams are going to start to come out and have posts like this for any penalty that they don't personally agree with. I think it's a start of something else now.
I think so. I have a Rangers friend who's a Rangers fan who, when he saw this statement, he's a longtime hockey fan. He's like, "This is what happens when you take fighting out of the game." That whole perspective. I'm not a big fan of hockey fights because I don't know that the theory is true. Because if each team has a brawler, then the guy who had the bad hit doesn't necessarily get the brawling in. Somebody else might. However, if you want to take fighting out of the game, and that's what Bateman says he wants to do, then teams need to respond the way the Rangers did, which is to be like, you're either, just like any parent who's ever had a child who's been bullied, you try to give your child the advice, go to the principal. But if it doesn't work, punch the bully in the face, and I have your back. And we had a situation like that with my son, and it was like when they tried to suspend my son, we went to you. And this is now the Rangers. Like, that's why after the Rangers said, okay, we went to you, you find us. Okay, it's time to drop the gloves. So hockey has a choice to make. I'm not a big enough hockey fan to help them figure out which direction they should go in. But, they do have a choice to make. Enough tiny fine like that says which choice they're making to me.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it's going to start something bigger long term. But for right now, it was a great move. And I give them a lot of credit on that. So. But. All right, so we have about 20 over 20 minutes left. Find us always on Facebook at Spanglish Sports Den and on Twitter at SSW Sports Den. It is time now for the obscure sport of the week. Let me ask you this, Obie, real quick. Did you happen to see the video? Did you glance at it? Okay, good.
I saw the video and went, I'm not supposed to see that, and then
went
back to what I was doing.
I didn't see anything. So everyone out there watching, we don't know what this is. Don't.
It's funny because when I posted on Twitter like an hour and a half ago, 2 hours, whatever it was, I had mentioned a different sport entirely, but then got the idea of it to actually go in a little bit of a different direction. This is one of the weirdest ones I've ever found. Initially, I said it wasn't that weird, but I found something way better. So, Brian, can we pull out of that video? The lower quality one is fine. This is knuckle hopping. The object is to literally hop up and down on your knuckles for as long as you can until you literally drop on the canvas, on the ground. I guess you go until you can't take the pain anymore and you just drop. It's apparently a very, very popular Eskimo sport. This is actually from the World Eskimo Indian Olympics. Specifically, this is 2013, but it's an annual event. And the object is to go as far as you can. The world record holder for this is 130 feet bouncing on your knuckles. I wanted to have you guys react to this because I didn't want you guys to have any thoughts ahead of time on, obscurity, playability, stupidity, watchability. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this one. This one, as you can see, this dude here is really taking off. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever, tried to do knuckle push-ups or anything like that, but that hurts like heck, especially when you're on concrete or anything like this, hard floor. But you got a guy here who's just going and going. And I don't know what to say here.
He's got a good technique. See, his technique is his knuckles aren't coming that high off the ground. Like they're coming off just enough to count, but they're not coming off enough. Like you look at some of the other people as they're coming up really high. So there's more impact when they're landing. Like this guy, this person, he's got a little more pop in it. So that impact on your, it's going to wear out sooner. So it's an interesting sport. It's definitely one of the weirdest things we've covered.
There is some real technique because, like you said, the technique is also you have to minimize your arm usage and increase your hip and calf usage to get yourself up in the air.
Get that push going.
Wow, this is great. It's great. I guess I get to go now while we watch this guy.
Sure, if you want to. I'm willing to that up to you guys, whatever you want to do.
I'm going to give this a nice solid B for oddity. It does have that like a sort of martial arts training feel to it. Anyone who's ever done martial arts, you eventually try to get to the point where you're doing your push-up on your knuckles. I never ever bounced. But, you know, it's using your knuckles, your wrists, the whole upper body. This is like, wow. Absolutely obscurity. I'm going to go full on A anytime it's in the Eskimo Olympics. That's a very small group of people who know about it. And it's just not something you're going to do anymore often. Playability. This is one of those sports. I'm going to give it a solid B. This is one of those sports. No, a C. A C. This is one of those sports that when you're younger, you're going to try it out because you think if you're an athlete of any kind and you see this, you're going to try it. And so I can see like, all right, guys, at football practice, we're going to do this, everyone. For like, this is going to be what we do instead of push-ups this week because we're trying to show off, you know. So it's got that sort of ability to be done when you're young. But at my age, I can't even do clap push-ups because the landing just hurts and it makes no value whatsoever towards the push-up. So that's where it starts to drop. You reach that particular age where banging your joints hurts and you're over. Watchability. The technique is amazing. These guys are just doing something that's just really impressive. Like it is physically really impressive. Like here's a guy with no skill. Look at him on the sides, can't keep his core intact. This just is like has like this is like a subset of what are those that
planks?
What?
Planks? It's like you said, it's like core strength. It's a combination of so many things of like you said, like your core strength. It's like you're planking. And you said before too, I didn't even notice it till after you said it, like using your calves is such a big thing too. Like you see these guys with like the good kind of ankle motion and they're just kind of moving along a lot quicker. There's so much that goes into this. It's so like technical on a like on a cerebral, like microscopic level.
Yeah. Hey, take it away. I give my grade. Take it away, Rob.
I mean, I give it like oddity, like definitely B plus, and obscurity like an A, because there's just so much that goes into this. Like you can see that this guy doesn't have the good calf motion going. Like he's using, like Obie said, he's using more of his arms. He's using too much energy in his arms. Where you see the other guy earlier was literally just like a fish, like had a little flipper action going and was just shooting across the ground. Playability of B plus. I mean, anybody could do this. You can do it at your home, in your kitchen, in your hallway. You can do it on a grass field. Like it's pretty easy to do anywhere. It's no equipment required. And I could totally have seen myself doing this when I was younger. Same reasons. Like there's no way my hands would be able to tolerate this. I think like a boxer would be somebody who might be good at this because you've got those strong, like durable, like hands. Like the bones are a lot more conditioned for this type of thing. Watchability of B plus. I mean, we've been sitting here. I've been glued to the screen just watching this video the entire time while you guys were talking. And yeah, overall, I definitely give it a solid B plus.
All right. So for me, oddity, you know what? I got to give it an A minus in this case. It was one of those things I was trying to find something bizarre that was not on Rob's list. And I found this and I'm like, sold, just sold. I didn't even bother to finish the video. I'm just like, all right, this is perfect. Also, it's just really funny to watch. You know?
This guy's got the good calf motion right here.
He's got the good push going on, yeah. He's got like a whole rhythm going on with this whole thing. He's got a system playing. These guys are professional knuckle hoppers, which I guess if that's actually a thing. So yeah, I would say oddity. You know what? I'm giving that thing an A minus, I think. Obscurity, also, I've got to give that an A in this case. I had no idea this existed. And I don't think anybody really outside of the Eskimo community or Inuit community even knows this exists. So the fact that there hasn't been more videos, you know what? We may be starting a trend here. Playability, I'm going to give it a B. Now, part of my regular workout routine is, and part of the reason it would help me drop 25 pounds is I do a minimum of 1,000 push-ups a week. I am curious at 45, almost 46 years old, how many of these I can do. So I don't know for right now. I think I'm going to probably try this out maybe tonight and see what ends up happening. See if it's something I can at least do a few of them. I can't go as far as these dudes can, but just to see if I can do a few, because back in my prime, I could do finger push-ups. I could do clapping push-ups. That was what I was able to do. And then, of course, I got fat, and now I'm dropping the fat off. But I am curious. I don't know. I'm really kind of surprised if I can pull that off. Watchability. I mean, honestly, this is like an A-. You kind of sit there and you look and you feel the pain that they've got, yet you're amazed by the stamina and the resiliency to be able to just do this, like I said, on pure, court. In this case, I mean, down here on a carpet may not be so bad, but they've got no padding there. That is straight knuckle on ground. And that's got to take a toll on you after a while. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to warn you, do clap push-ups first, make sure your wrist can take it. But more importantly, as I'm watching this and watching these guys move, I'm saying, even though we think the first instinct is doing this on a hardwood floor is going to hurt because it's hard, the rug burn that you would get if you had this guy's skill on a rug would just be crazy. So just think about that before you go on to adding this to your 1,000 push-up.
Well, what about this? How about this as a possibility? What if I actually put gloves on?
I was just going to say, if you have boxing gloves, put boxing gloves or like winter mitten gloves on to do the first couple.
But also, if you notice it with that guy in particular, if you notice, he kind of went on the pinky and rolled forward every time. Maybe that's the key to it, where you can see it, they kind of land and pull forward a little bit. So it maybe softens the impact a tick.
You roll the impact across the knuckles instead of just pounding it all into one spot.
So maybe you're just doing something like that. It's interesting in this particular case that they're actually starting with the pinky knuckles and then moving forward. But irrespective, I got to admit, I'm curious. This will probably be an epic fail on my side. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try it. Maybe record it. If it goes well and I don't epically fail, I might post it. If it goes poorly and I'm a laughingstock, I might post it anyway. Because I think in this case it's worth the laugh. But I don't know. I'm curious. So, yeah, I don't know.
I will try this at the gym the next time I'm up there in the aerobic room. I'll get my GoPro. But I'm going to put boxing gloves on first and do it with gloves on the first time and then see how it feels. And then
I almost wonder if actually we should talk about this for possibly next week. The other thing we have next week.
Yes.
But,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. We're at that. We'll discuss that story at some point in the near future. Okay. So that right there, like I said, is Canadian Eskimo Inuit Olympic knuckle hopping. Sorry, drew a blank there. That's knuckle hopping. So try it if you want. Don't try it. I don't blame you. But give credit to these guys. But some of these guys just fly. I love it. All right. Challenge accepted for having something next time around. Anyway, thank you, Brian. I think we're good here. We've got about 10 minutes left at this particular point. There is a topic I wanted to discuss. Find us always on Twitter at SSW Sports Den and on Facebook at Spangler Sports Den. But NFL player turned baseball player has turned back to NFL player again.
Oh,
by this, I mean Mr. Tim Tebow is now back in the NFL, having apparently signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I want to get some of your thoughts on that. Give me some opinions. Give me anything like that.
I'm surprised this wasn't my shut up. I totally forgot about this. This is just – I said to one of my friends, I go, this is the first sign that Urban Meyer is not going to last in the NFL. Like, this is just – he left – like, it's almost to the point where, like, this man is obsessed with Tim Tebow. Like, he left Florida as soon as Tebow was gone. And it's just like the dude hasn't played in how many years – they're going to put him at tight end. Like, he's not even – he was a washed-out baseball player at this point. He was decent in the minors, but he's not even – like, you think he's going to be that much of a draw to bring – like, you have the number one pick in Trevor Lawrence. Like, what – I only see this complicating things for Trevor Lawrence, too, because if you have Tebow and he's on the field, there's going to be a gimmick play for him, like a wildcat, and he's going to try to throw the ball. And it's just like Urban Meyer is – first of all, like the Urban Meyer hiring for me was just completely off the rails too, because every time a team hires a new coach, the big thing is the Rooney Rule and did you interview minorities? Nobody even cared. Like, Robert Saleh went down there after the fact, but like, you knew they were hiring Urban Meyer. Like, there was no complaints about it's Urban Meyer getting the job like from day one. But you're gonna reap what you sow in this case. Like, I don't think this just shows he's not ready to be an NFL coach. I don't care how much research he did. It's going to be a circus in Jacksonville, in my opinion. That's what I think is going to happen.
So, first, I want to go to your point about Urban Meyer. This is actually the second dumb thing he's done as a head coach. There was the hiring of the strength and conditioning coach who got fired from Iowa for possibly racist acts while a football coach. So, that's number one. I originally was on board with this, not because he can play tight end, but because I saw him as like that backup quarterback who could be the coach in the locker room, the coach in the field, the Mark Brunell to the Mark Sanchez, that kind of a guy. But as I've been reading other people's takes on this and thinking about it more, a lot of folks have pointed out that's not what this is, because this is like he's hiring his son. Right? Like you said, he's just enamored with this kid. So now he's the narc. No one's going to look at him as the guy who knows the offense and can be talked to and trusted. They're going to look at him more likely as the narc, especially since everyone on that team is so young. So unless Trevor Lawrence has some amazing ability to just, which he might, because he's been the best quarterback in the world since he was, every step of the way, to get just the knowledge from him and have that trust, I don't know what it is that brings him here. I thought he would be a coach, like if he was a quarterback's coach or offensive something coach, that would have made sense. But this tight end position, I've become less and less impressed with it over the last 24 to 48 hours than I was. But a lot of it goes back to not Tim Tebow, but to Urban Meyer. And what is the purpose of this? Because he's not going to be a great tight end. He's not going to do that. So what is it? Tim Tebow, you have a dream. You keep wanting to do it. People are willing to hire you. That's not your fault. Urban Meyer, if this goes south, and this can go south in the kind of way that can destroy everything he's trying to build there, it's on you if it does.
Did he even catch a pass when he was – because he was technically like an H-back, running back, tight end with the Jets, and I don't think he ever caught a pass with the Jets. So you got a guy playing tight end who's essentially never caught a pass.
Here's the one thing I'll say. Go ahead.
The only highlight I've seen of him receiving the pass is he does not catch it. He's covered too well.
Well, it's been a very questionable move. A lot of people – it's been a lot of animosity on both sides, like you guys mentioned. Looking at this, he was targeted once with the Jets, never caught the ball. He did have a few rushes in there, but nothing exciting. I could almost see this being a blocking situation because, to his credit, he is 6'3", 255. So that is a fairly sizable dude when it comes to height and weight, and a decent tight end size. It is probably a PR move because he does have an Instagram and social media following. The Jacksonville Jaguars, let's call it what it is, they are the least popular NFL team. Probably one of the least popular teams of any of the five major sports. So they need something maybe to add a little bit extra punch. Yes, Lawrence, I get that part of it, but that's not enough. You need somebody who can capture, a fan, and basically has a fan base following with him. The Devil standpoint, PK Subban, the logo's on every single thing. Every single post he has gets 350,000 views just on an Instagram post. So it's credibility from that standpoint. Tim Tebow has that as well. So it might have been a marketing move to try and generate a little buzz to, frankly, a second fiddle, team, definitely in not third fiddle, fourth fiddle, whatever you want to say, down in the Southeast, especially with Tampa having won the Super Bowl.
So, to my understanding, and there was some conflict in the building about this. Hiring. So I know which way the conflict was, but it sounds to me like the analysis and the guesstimates that I'm making is that the conflict was the team didn't want him and Urban Meyer did. So Urban Meyer should not be worried about putting butts in the seats. He should be worried about winning football games. To me, it's always like my own mind is the GM needs to make money. And so if he makes moves that are cost-cutting and whatever to make money, that's fine. You may not like it for your team. The process is done by the GM. The coach takes the 22 best players and puts them on the field. So if this is a coaching hire, it kind of goes against what you're guessing there, Scott.
Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
My only other thing I could possibly wrap my head around is thinking, like, obviously, like, Tebow's a very religious man. Trevor Lawrence is very religious. I'm like, is this some sort of, like you said, like, you're not bringing him in to be his quarterback coach. Like, you're bringing him in to be, like, a religious advisor or something? Like, that's the only, like, rational thing. Like, some people can, like, be like, okay, maybe it's that. Like, I don't know. But, yeah, this is just, like, I don't understand. Urban Meyer's obsession with Tim Tebow has hit that point where you realize how unhealthy it is for his coaching career.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, but you've noticed that, I mean, when Tim Tebow was playing with the Mets, everybody was tuning in because, I mean, even though he wasn't that great, every time he did anything, it was SportsCenter worthy. And a minor league team does not get SportsCenter worthy. He did. He hits a home run. Great. But that was a minor league team. He was a mediocre left fielder. But I don't know. I think it's something where, like I said, it's a butts and seats kind of thing. And he does have good size. He does have decent speed. So maybe this will help him a little bit. And also, who knows? It might take a little – I'm also going to say this. It might take a little pressure off Trevor Lawrence being the number one pick and the pressure that comes with that. Tim Tebow could manipulate – or not manipulate, but he could monopolize some of the headlines down in Jacksonville and let Lawrence kind of fly under the radar a little bit more. And maybe that's what he needs to. I'm looking at devil's advocate.
No, I hope it's something that can work out. I hope for Tim Tebow is that something that can work out where he is some sort of connect with Lawrence, and that it's not looked of as that he's the narc, but that he is the guy who knows the offense. I do think that there's going to, if you've ever worked in a place where there is obviously you're just hiring the boss's son because some team has to have the boss's son.
Yeah.
It has that kind of feel to it. But if it, I've been in those places and we had one guy that was the boss's son-in-law and he got the job because he was the boss's son-in-law. Another guy was the boss's son-in-law. We were like, this guy's great. He knows his stuff. So if he turns into two and not one, and at least just mentally knows the game, he could have a positive impact on Lawrence, and let's hope that's what it is.
Possible. But like you said, it's one of those things that it also could – it reminds me almost a little bit when Dan Reeves would bring in Tommy Maddox. Tommy Maddox, wherever Dan Reeves went, Tommy Maddox would go with him until Tommy Maddox became the MVP of the XFL the first time around. But it's similar to that, I think, a little. Just read that also that Urban Meyer just moved in next to Tim Tebow. So there'll probably be a little one-on-one coaching going on there as well. All right. So we got about 2 minutes left at this point. We got to start wrapping this up. Thank you. As always, got 1 minute left. Sorry about that. Brian just corrected me there. Thank you, sir. This show can be heard on 35 plus different platforms across 4 different continents. This is available, as always, on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, Google Chromecast, Smart TVs 2016 and forward. And you can find us on Facebook at Spangler Sports Den and also on Twitter at SSW Sports Den. Tonight at 9 p.m., my show Tales from the Film Set will be on, where I will be discussing really dumb background actors. Something happened yesterday that both of you guys already know about that I will be discussing at length, and it got me the idea of talking about really stupid background actors and the really stupid things they do. I got to wrap this up, but do you guys have any final thoughts in the last few seconds?
You know me, I always like to plug my show, Me, My Scott and I, Fridays, 10 p.m. right here on this network. And this week we have Anthony Solano, professional sports agent. So very excited to have him
Very cool. Nicely done, sir. So
thank you.
Rob, can you top that?
No, I cannot. So just follow me at the Rob Stats on all forms of social media.
Awesome. Thank you, Reverend Mother. We appreciate that. This has been the Sports Den. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Have yourselves a great night. And together, let's make it a great day. Take care.